Update. At Thanksgiving dinner, my sister stood up and announced, "We voted, and you're not family anymore." Everyone cheered. I laughed softly and said, "Then I guess you won't need this." I placed a folder on the table. The moment she opened it, she started screaming. Part 2. Fact, line by line, page by page. All while the rest of the family realized what they had done. My mom looked ready to faint. Joel, he stared at the line that said $4,200 to cover Natalie's credit card used at a hotel in Santa Monica with someone named Alyssa, and just said, "What is this?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to, because for the first time ever, I wasn't defending myself. I was just showing them the truth. "You kept records?" My mom said finally, her voice shaking. "Of everything." I turned to her, calm as ever. "You never remembered, so someone had to." Natalie was still standing still, pale, her fists clenched at her sides. Her eyes darted to Joel, to me, to the folder. "This is a violation," she spat. "You had no right to." "No right?" I said, standing up slowly. "You just stood in front of this whole family and declared me not family. You all clapped. And now you're upset that I came prepared?" Joel flipped another page in the folder. "What's this about Santa Monica?" he asked, his voice tight. Natalie's head snapped toward him. "Don't start. Who's Alyssa?" he continued. "Why were you at a hotel for 3 nights on my credit card?" Her silence was louder than any answer. "Wait," my mom cut in, holding her hands up. "Can we all just calm down and be reasonable?" "Sure," I said. "Let's be reasonable. Let's talk about the time you called me a parasite while cashing the check I sent you." She blinked. "That's not fair. We were under stress." "No," I snapped. "You were under stress, and I bailed you out every single time. And the one time I say no, suddenly I'm the enemy." My dad, who had been dead silent until now, finally spoke up. "You're making this into something bigger than it is." I turned to him, and my voice dropped. "You let them do this to me for years. You knew. You saw it. You heard it. And you let it happen because it was easier than standing up to them." He didn't deny it. Natalie slammed her hand on the table. "You're just bitter because no one needs you anymore." "Wrong," I said coldly. "I'm not bitter. I'm done." She let out a bitter laugh. "You're pathetic. Do you know how dramatic this all looks, bringing a folder, printing screenshots? You think this makes you the victim. You're just proving you're a control freak. And you're just proving," I said, "that you only cared about me when I was paying your bills. You don't get to play the martyr," she shouted. "You chose to help. You didn't have to. And yet," I said, stepping forward, "somehow you expected it every single time, until it wasn't help anymore. It was duty, and when I stopped, you voted me out." My voice cracked, not from sadness, from rage. "You didn't want a brother. You wanted a wallet with legs." Joel stood up now, holding the folder. "Is this true?" he asked, looking at Natalie. "All of this?" Natalie looked at him, and for the first time, she didn't have a comeback. No fake tears, no deflection, just silence. "You lied to me," he said. "About the hotel, about the money, about him. You made it sound like he was crazy." "I had to," she exploded. "He was turning everyone against me." "I wasn't," I said. "You did that all by yourself." The room went quiet again. Then my mom leaned forward and tried one more time. Her voice softened. "Listen, honey, we may have overreacted, but this is still family, and families fight. Let's just put this behind us." I cut her off. "You're not hearing me." She blinked. "What?" "I'm not asking for peace. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm telling you I'm done," Natalie sneered. "Oh, stop pretending like this is some big moment. You've said that before." I looked her dead in the eyes. "Not like this." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out another envelope. "What now?" my dad asked, clearly exhausted. I tossed it onto the table. Joel caught it before it slid off. He opened it. "Read the first line." His eyes widened. "What is this?" he whispered. I answered for him. "Power of attorney forms for mom. Revoked. Medical proxy revoked. Emergency contact removed. I've already signed the papers. I am legally and emotionally no longer responsible for any of you." My mother gasped. "You're cutting ties completely?" "Completely," I said. "Starting now." "You're being selfish," she said, tears now forming. "We made mistakes, but we're still your family." I turned to her, and my voice dropped again, calm, final. "No, you're not." I grabbed my coat, looked at them one last time, and walked out the door, leaving them in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner, stunned and speechless, surrounded by cold food and ugly truths. I walked out, and I didn't look back. Not because it didn't hurt. It did. But as I closed the door behind me, stepped off their porch, and into the cold night air, I felt something inside me shift. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I didn't drive straight home. I pulled off the road near the lake I used to visit as a kid, the place Dad used to take me fishing. I sat there in silence, staring out at the still water, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Nothing pulling at me, no guilt, no pressure, no one waiting on a check or a ride or a favor, just stillness. The next morning, silence. The day after that, still nothing. But on the third day, the messages started. First, my mom, a missed call, then another, then a voicemail. "You really mean it, we were angry, but we're still your family." I didn't respond. Then came the text from Natalie. "You don't even realize what you've done. Joel's filing for divorce. Are you happy? Something is really wrong with you." Then my dad, "You went too far. We all said things we regret, but what you did was nuclear. Your mother is a wreck. Come fix this." I didn't reply to any of them. And honestly, I thought I'd feel guilty. I thought I'd toss and turn at night wondering if I went too far. But instead, I slept better than I had in years. There was no more second-guessing every text. No more waiting for the other shoe to drop. No more late-night Venmo requests, guilt trips disguised as emergencies. For the first time in a decade, I could hear myself think. I started waking up early, going for runs, brewing coffee slowly. I made appointments I put off for years. Dentist, doctor, even a therapist. Not because I was broken, but because I was finally allowed to take care of myself. I rewrote my emergency contacts. Removed my parents. Changed my passwords. Froze every joint account they had access to. Blocked Natalie on every platform. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. A week after Thanksgiving, I got a text from Laura, my cousin who clapped when they voted me out. I didn't know you paid for my tuition. I'm sorry I followed the crowd. You were always the one who actually helped. I didn't answer, but I read it twice. Then another surprise. A message from Joel. I filed the papers. Everything in that folder checked out. She cheated, lied, manipulated. Not just you. Me too. He added, you did the right thing. I should have left sooner. I wasn't expecting that, but it landed. A few days later, I did something I hadn't done in years. I applied for a job in another city. Not because I was running, but because I was finally free. No more. You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 3.